A lot of people, if not all today, look forward to the weekends and holidays. But I'm not one of those people. Let me explain. I myself actually love it when I have free time, because then I can structure my day perfectly and therefore make the most progress out of it. And I gotta be honest, I love weekends because on these days that is exactly the case, that I can just structure it out perfectly. But holidays are a bit different for me. While a lot of people just make tours around the world and go to the mountains, to the beach, or to some place elsewhere where it's just beautiful, I do the traditional thing and go to my grandmother. And I gotta be honest, I love it. You know, it's the best time when I'm here and I've got so much free time. You know, she actually has a house where I can do a lot of things, train, go out, have my own garden, which at my home I don't have one. So that is pretty luxurious. But there's one thing that really pisses me off, and that is that I have to change my whole surrounding. While it is so beautiful in here, while, as I said, I have my own garden, I have multiple rooms where I can do anything I want to, I still don't like it. Because my whole routine, everything that I've built up at home, the whole order on my table is different because I couldn't take everything that I had with me. The rooms are different. When I wake up, I just feel a lot different than I would have at home. And that is true, of course. I mean, you have probably experienced the same if you went to vacation or just went to another room and, I don't know, stayed the night over there or something. You pretty much felt that your whole day has started off differently, and that is throwing me off completely. You know, I've got my own routine. I have the perfect routine. You know these millionaire routines? I can actually make a video on this, but I've perfected it. I've got so many hours of deep work where I can actually make a lot of progress, you know, for YouTube and some other stuff. But it's just amazing. And here I cannot do it as perfectly. I mean, don't get me wrong. At home I have around about 20 perfect days per month. That is where I'm at right now. But here I only have around 12 to 15. But why? Why can't I have the same productivity here as I have at home? I mean, I've taken the things with me that are most important to me, like my books, like the computer, like everything that I need. But still I cannot get the same routine here, or at least I've tried it, but it's not going that well. And I'm pretty sure that you have experienced the same when you are at a bit more advanced point in your self-improvement journey. You know, when you've got your routine perfectly, you stand up at the same time, you do the same things every day in the morning, you have 4 to 6 hours of free time before you actually do something else like eating or, you know, meeting with a person, that you just have the perfect routine to make the most progress out of it. And as I said, I've got that as well. It is really perfect and I've been very happy for it for the last 6 months. But I still cannot get these perfect days, this perfect surrounding, this perfect routine to work in here as good as at home. And I've analyzed what the problems are with it. As I said, I took everything with me and therefore almost copied my surrounding. But that wasn't helping much. I'm sure that you've tried that as well, right? The first thing that I did was copying as much of my surroundings as possible. At home, you know, I have my bed and I have my table next to it, and on the table are these things and these things, and they lay in a certain order and whatnot, you know? Like I'm being a monk or something, but, you know, I've got the things perfectly laid out so that my routine can just flow like water. I've tried to copy that here as well, and it has helped a bit, don't get me wrong. But the problem is that I can't use the same routine here as I could at home. I mean, it's logical, right? The things are not perfectly the same, and I cannot do that. And that is because of the psychological effect. Like, I mean, there are a lot of tricks today that you can trick yourself into a better mindset, into getting goals accomplished that you couldn't even think of. Which is my last video, by the way, check it out after this one. But yeah, you can trick yourself and your mind in so many ways today. But what you cannot do is trick yourself against real obvious facts, or at least you shouldn't. And in this case, I know that I'm somewhere else. I know that I'm not at home, that these things are not where they were supposed to be, and that something is a bit different. My body and therefore my mind senses that, and I cannot overgo this. I could trick myself, I could do some hypnosis shit or something else, but I don't think that would work to 100%. And that is what I need to do, getting it to work for 100% to get my routine back. But that's not possible. At least I don't know a way yet how to do that. But I figured out some different ways on how you can make your vacations as perfect as your work at home and relax while you get those perfect days into order. And by relaxed, I mean working as hard as possible, going with your routine and therefore being accomplished and happy at the end of the day. So first of all, you have to get rid of all of those spontaneous events that occur during your holidays. I mean, you've probably planned your vacation, right? You want to go there and you want to do this and then you want to go relax at the spa and what else you want to do. The best thing is to really get into your routine, which for your normal routine this goes as well, is that you plan out your day as best as you can. What I mean by that is that of course you can be spontaneous in your routine, right? But if you really have a strict plan, a plan where everything is set up, where everything has a certain time, then you will have the most success. This is what I learned from the book The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. A very good book, by the way, I would recommend it. If you can, then have a strict time for everything. Thereby, you're not really spontaneous, but are if you plan your free time to be around 1 hour or so. What I said in some last videos is that you can plan out your day in a Google Calendar or so. And there you can make your free time for around 1-2 hours every day, and then have time blocks. Let's say from 4 till 6 p.m. you have your free time, you can do whatever you want. But you still have strict time spans in which that can happen. And that is the most important thing that I can get to you. Thereby, planning out your day, making these time zones, time spans and time blocks, you thereby get spontaneous by being planned through. And I will guarantee that first of all, you won't be as shocked when something spontaneous happens. And second of all, you will just feel your routine way more when you have time zones where you can be spontaneous and time zones where you just follow your routine and that's it. This will also build your discipline because you first of all have time spans in which you just have to work and thereby can't be spontaneous, but in other time frames that you work up to, then you can kind of see them as a reward, as a time span where you can do everything that you want to. Then what you also have to do is that when you do a spontaneous thing like a meetup with your friends or a call with someone, that you strictly make times, a start time and an end time. Let's say that my friend would come to me, right? He would come to me and say, hey, do you want to meet up? Want to do some sport or something? And then I would say, sure. But the first thing that I would ask is, when do we start? Right now or just in an hour or so? And when do we end it? How long does the event go? Does it just go for 1 hour, 2 hours? But still, ask for a start and end time so that you can plan this into your day. And also when you do this, like for a very important call or something, let's say you're at a job, you're at a business job and you now have a random meeting with some of your mates because they have to speak about something, then the first thing that you should do is ask for a start and end time. Because as I said, this will be better plannable into your routine, and second of all, you will have a goal to work towards. You will know when this event is over and therefore are a bit under pressure and can work better toward one goal, one conclusion, to one end of this meeting. Let's say that you don't have an end time. The only thing that you are going to do is sit there mindlessly playing around, talking about nonsense and getting nowhere. At the end, you will see that the time is just over, your job is done. It's 6 p.m. and you can go home and you have accomplished nothing. You don't have a goal, you don't know what to do next, you don't have a new meeting planned, you don't have nothing. So thereby, setting an end time is not only better for your routine, but to work better, to work more progressively, to work towards a goal. The second tip is that you increase your output per work unit. Where do I got that from? From Alex Hormozy. This guy's just a genius, I have to say that. But what he has taught me is that it's not about how much you work. It's not about working 12, 14 hours a day, but it's about how much work you put in to get a certain output. That is what he calls output per work unit. That is also used in a book Good to Great that I recently just read. Very good book, I'd also recommend that. What you have to do is look at your surroundings. You're on vacation, you're at a new place, and everything is new, right? But you've taken your computer with you, you've taken your notebook with you so that you can make notes, and you've taken everything important with you. So now you have to look at yourself and look at these things and say to yourself, how can I increase my work output? I'm putting 1 hour in and I get that out. How can I increase that I get out of my work? So what you really do is that you kind of make a new routine. You're at a new place and you have to make a new routine for that place. Because as you saw, the old routine doesn't work anymore. You know, when you start your self-improvement journey, or at least when I start my self-improvement journey, I tried to perfect everything. I tried out so many things and failed at many things as well. But, you know, I put a lot of time into that. Actually, around 5 months. 5 months until I had a perfect routine to follow. And I had so many days of trial and error where I've just tried these and these and these things, and then I relapsed there. There I spent some time on YouTube that I shouldn't have. There I didn't work as good because I wasn't focused, and what else happened? I worked on it for 5 months until I really came to the conclusion to the perfect routine. And it was definitely worth it. My work output has increased by so much that is insane when I look back onto these days. Let's say that, you know, you're on vacation. Maybe it's the first time that you're in this new country, in this new location where you've never been before and where you likely are never going to be again. So you don't have the time to really make a new routine. But what you have to do is that you look at your old routine. Take that into account and look what has worked best for you. If it is that your computer, that you really have to sit on a table, that you can work the best when you actually lay down in a very comfy space. That you work the best when you have your headphones on, when you don't have any distractions. Anything that can work for you that has worked in the past and that has made your routine perfect. Take these things into account and then use them. If these don't work, then you actually have to find a new way of perfecting your routine. This will obviously take time, and when you just have a vacation of 1 to 2 weeks, it probably won't be that worth it. But as I said, still search for that way, because you don't know. Maybe you can even use it for your old routine, and therefore even increase your work output there. And I will guarantee that this will be worth it, and you will see that as well. So definitely, if you're on vacation, if you're everywhere, or even if you're just at home, try to look at new things, try to look at the old things that have worked, and then find new ways on how to better your routine. Look at things that you can better every day, and you will see that you will actually find some new things that you haven't considered in the past. And as I said, when you're on vacation, you will definitely find new ways that you haven't even thought of before. And maybe these can actually help you to increase your work output by double or triple the results. What you also can always do is look at the experience from other people. For me, these people would be Alex Hormozy, as I've talked about before, Imam Gaji, Hamza, and a lot of other people that have really tried to perfect their routine, to make their work output as high as possible for the least work and time consumed. And to just look at these people and their experiences and what they have taken in. Maybe it's even just a stupid ritual, you know? Like taking a shower before you work, going for a walk, you know, putting on the headphones, even though it's as quiet as can be. Just look out for these experiences and maybe even rituals and try them out for yourself, so that you can perfect your routine, and therefore even on vacation, Find a new way to triple your work output. Then what you also should do, especially when you're on vacation in a new country, is that you look at distractions. I cannot talk about this enough, but I don't know, let's say that you have the perfect routine at home. You know, you do everything right. You don't even waste 1 minute on social media. But when you go into another country, your behavior changes. Your brain realizes that it is in another surrounding, that everything has changed, and therefore it changes its behavior. The most famous example is for the American soldiers that were in the Vietnam War. There, a lot of people, if not the majority, started taking heroin. And as the war got on, more and more people got into the addiction of taking heroin. But what scientists then saw and experienced after the war was over is that these exact people that, had a heroin addiction in Vietnam didn't have one when they got to home. When they got back home, 80% of these soldiers weren't addicted to heroin anymore. And they asked themselves why that was the case. Why did these people that were really addicted on heroin in Vietnam suddenly change their behavior and got free from it when they went back home? That has all to do with the psychological effect in your brain. With a change of your surroundings, a change of behavior follows. So what you have to look out for when you change your surroundings is that these distractions, these bad habits can also lurk back in. And that is what I experienced firsthand when I went to my grandma 5 months ago. I was on a 2-week vacation here and I realized that my routine was f***ed. I realized that NoFap wasn't going well, that I was watching way more YouTube as I was used to, and that in general I wasn't putting out the work that I did at home. And that was because I changed the surrounding. But the bad thing was that it went worse. With the soldiers, their behaviors went good because they went back into their home and therefore into an environment where they didn't even think about drugs or anything. But for me, it was kind of the opposite, because I went out of that surrounding, of that perfect surrounding where I could work with focus for 12 hours or more, and therefore change into a new environment where I didn't have a routine. I wasn't able to get my old routine back. And that probably happens to you as well when you go to vacation. Obviously, your mindset also plays a role because you think, well, I can just relax and don't need to work, right? But it's also the case that when you change your location and therefore your surrounding, that your behavior can change positively and negatively. So you definitely have to watch out for that when you go to vacation, that your behaviors can change and therefore have to act on it. But that is also a tip if you always wanted to change your routine or have a bad habit like porn or eating a lot, is that you change your location. Many people won't have the money to just move from their home, right? But what you can do is that you just switch it up with your rooms. Let's say for work, for example, if you realize that you are just unfocused and can't work, then what you have to do is change the surrounding where you work. Change the room in which you work. Let's say you work in your own room where there are multiple distractions. Or you work on your computer where you have social media and where you have all of these distractions. What you have to do is change that. I know for the computer it might be a bit harder, but let's say that you're in your own room and you see all of these distractions, your phone, your PlayStation or anything else, right? Then what you have to do is change your surrounding. Some people actually just work on their kitchen table because that is the place where they can be focused the most. But for some people it won't work as much because let's say they have a bad eating habit. And in the kitchen they will encounter all of these bad foods and junk foods and whatnot. So for them, they should change up their room for their living room. Or in another room where they can just work in quiet and peace. But to come back to the topic, what you really have to watch out for is that when you change your surrounding, you can change your behavior in a positive and negative way. Then the last tip is that when you try these new things out, as changing your location or taking into account things that have already worked, that you journal right after you've done them. You have to actually make a real analysis of what has worked, what hasn't, what has bettered and what has gotten worse. And thereby, journaling is the best way to do this. Let's say that, you've done something new. You've changed the surrounding. You've changed your room and gone from your living room to your own quiet space, into the basement or something. Then when you've done that, you have to make an analysis of everything that has changed, in a positive and in a negative way. And you can just do it on paper, but the best thing is if you really journal about it. What is the difference? Well, journaling, you just blur out everything that you think about the topic that you're writing on. That means every thought that you have, well, not everything, but the most important thoughts you write down, and thereby almost talk with yourself. But don't get me wrong, you still kind of talk to a different person. Because the person you're talking to, being yourself, is a lot smarter when you write things down. When you think through them, and when you actually can see what you are saying or thereby thinking. So I hope that this video has not only informed you about my love for holidays, but that it has also helped you to get a new routine into place when you change your surrounding. As I said, it's very hard and it's gonna take some time. But as I said, even when you just have a 2-week vacation, it is still the best thing to do this because, as I said, you will find new things and will even better your work output, which is more worth than anything. If you've liked the tips from this video and are gonna use them for yourself, then please leave a like on this video. I thank you very much for it. Always keep your focus on your purpose. See you next time.